Hi guys, I'm Ryan. We're starting a new podcast, so get psyched. It's going to be really good. First thing we're going to do, we're going to introduce everybody, and then we're going to go into how we met each other. We've been friends for a while. So my name's Ryan Sear, and then we're going to go around the room.
I'm Jonathan Plord. Craig Sear.
I'm John Murphy Shaw.
Joe Shiggis.
Alright, so our first topic today, so we can get acquainted with you guys and you can get acquainted with us, is how we all know each other. I really think you should start us off, John, where it all started.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
The school, dude.
So, we joined the Academy of Aerospace and Engineering, which was actually the Greater Hartford Academy of Math and Science when we first joined. Back in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I first met Ryan.
Nerds.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't realize, just by the name introduction, me and Ryan are brothers. I ended up going to the same school following him a year later, and that's where I met Joe, who was in the same grade as me.
Yep, and our cousin is Jonathan. Me and Craig's cousin is Jonathan, and we're all pretty good friends. So yeah, basically, to get more into the how we started going to that school, I think I was the first one there out of anybody who's here right now.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
went there for my 7th grade middle school year, and because I was in it already, Craig could kind of get what's the word, like grandfathered in.
Yeah, it was a bit easier for me.
And then John came in 8th grade. He got bullied a lot. We made fun of him. We didn't really like him until later. And then Joe came in for like a year, and then he bailed out. But
No, 3 years.
Really?
Don't lie. Yeah, I
It
came
was
in.
that long?
He made it through middle school, and then the first year of high school
7th,
was
8th.
his last year there.
No way.
Mhm.
You were at the high school with us?
Yeah.
At the Hartford campus?
Yes.
1 year of high
I
school.
don't remember that
freshman
at
That was a
year.
lot of fun,
You
kind
know?
of.
I don't remember that.
No, I didn't go to the school at all. I'm on the outside here.
All right. So we've gotten through that. So let's talk about some other stuff. Joe, tell us about your boat. Let's hear about it, because I haven't really gotten.
All right, so I guess I'll start when I was a kid. We used to go to Cape Cod a lot, and all I could remember was my uncle taking me and my cousins out on his boat, and that was probably one of the most fun things I've ever done. It was kind of like the highlight of the year. I would always look forward to going to Cape Cod and going out on the boat with him. It was a great time. We'd go out in the bay, sometimes go tuna fishing. We'd go out when it's still pitch black out at night, go out until the morning, until the afternoon. It was a lot of fun.
Sick,
Yeah, exactly.
Is it
So
a big boat?
yeah, it was about just under 30 feet, so
That's
big enough to fit like seven
Shoot,
to
man.
like 10 people you
That's
could fit
good.
on there. Yeah, we would bring out a lot of people sometimes, all the cousins, all the uncles and stuff. So now that I'm older now, obviously he doesn't have the boat anymore. We kind of had to get rid of it, but my grandfather bought a boat way back in the day, down in the 1960s. If you guys, I don't know if you guys are boat fanatics or whatever, but it was a great, not a Grady White, sorry. That was my uncle's boat. It was a Boston Whaler, and that was like the unsinkable legend, as they called it. It was, no, really, you can look
The
that stuff
Titanic?
up. It's a real thing. So it started with the company. This guy wanted to make an unsinkable boat, essentially, and the ad for the boat was him sitting on his boat getting cut in half by a saw, and he's just sitting there on the water, and it's fine. And it's pretty funny.
Imagine that.
So yeah,
The
so
flex tape commercial?
yeah, it is a flex tape commercial, exactly. That's funny. So my grandfather owned this boat, obviously, and it's been in the family ever since. It's been passed on to my uncle. My uncle's used it. My aunts kind of used it a little bit, but it's been sitting in my uncle's yard for the past, I don't know, maybe 20 years. He's been like kind of had possession of it, and it's been just sitting in like the brush. So I picked it out. I was like, you know what? I want a boat. I want to go out in the water again. I loved going out with my uncle, and I want to do this myself and maybe bring my kids out on a boat someday. But
And you recently had me and a few of your own friends. You know, we went out on your canoe there.
oh yeah, that's right.
So,
So we also had a canoe, and my mom had a canoe, and she never really used it too much. And I said, you know what? I kind of want to start using it. I love the water. I miss going out in the boat. So we started using the canoe, learned how to back up the trailer and all that. It was a lot of fun, and we started going on the boat. Last year we went out like every week, pretty much. And then this year we tried to go out. We've gone like 3 times, 4 times already, which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
So like the one that you're fixing up right now, and maybe it's a stupid question because I don't know how it works. Like,
No, it's okay.
a boat, you set them up for like freshwater or saltwater, right? Like you can't
Correct.
be mixing them.
So
isn't yours going out for freshwater right now?
this one's going out for fresh water, but it really, I mean, I don't know too much, but I believe that if the boat is able to go in saltwater, it's okay to go in freshwater.
But you can't like be taking it out of lakes and
sense.
putting it in the ocean.
It's
vice
really-
versa, right?
You have
Like,
to wash
or-
it down. I'm pretty
You
sure.
wash it down, but
What about
it's really not even. I don't even think it's the paint, because the paint in like the material is designed for whatever the heck.
No, I don't
It's-
imagine it's the paint. I imagine it's like bacteria. And
It's the motor, really. It's the motor. Like if the motor's not designed for salt water,
Oh, really?
you can't take it out. But mine's a trolling motor, which I bought, a little electric motor. I'm gonna upgrade next year and get like a nice gas
How did
motor.
that go down, dude?
I'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
That was something.
Was it?
Most definitely, that was
Oh,
something. But
Alright.
But yeah, if you have a saltwater motor, I believe you can take it in freshwater, but you can't take a freshwater motor in saltwater because the water can. I think the engine sucks up a little water too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Use as
so
coolant or something?
most engines they use the water as coolant since there's millions of gallons all around you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you might as well.
John's our avid boater, by the way.
Yeah, so they do use the water, and if the motor's designed for sucking in fresh water, and you get the salty water, it can clog stuff up, and it can cause different issues and corrosion and a whole mess of stuff.
So you could take the boat though and just swap the. If you had another
Get a
motor, you
different
could just
motor
swap
on it,
one.
yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I just thought it had something to do with like you can't like go into Craig's like wheelhouse like bacteria and stuff like contaminating.
you
You have
you're
to power
ever-
wash the boat down.
Right,
When
that's
you take it
where
out
that
of one
comes
lake
in.
and
That
put
is
it in
as simple
another.
as that?
Yeah.
you got to wash everything down. That's going from freshwater to freshwater, going anywhere at all.
Any open body of water to any other open body of water, you need to make sure your boat is rinsed down so you're not carrying things like invasive animals or species that just shouldn't be in that.
But
next
saltwater's
body of water.
fine because it's pretty much the same species,
Well, I mean,
right?
you have to watch
No.
saltwater as well because you could have a region saltwater on one coast here,
Mhm.
you know, has a certain invasive that you wouldn't want to bring to another coast.
Yeah,
Right,
for
right.
example, around here, there's the little green crabs, I think they're called.
We have
and there's a lot
Asian-
of invasive species like that just they got sucked into the ship's ballast. Big
Yep.
ships,
Yeah.
they suck in a bunch of water to weigh them down so that they don't get thrown around as much by the waves. And then when they get close to port, they release that so they don't sit as deep in the water so they can go in shallower channels.
A few
So-
common ones.
So a lot of them, they sucked in the water and got little creatures. When they got to the other side of the ocean, they spit the
Just
water
dump it all
out,
over the place.
and all these little creatures showed up. And they had no natural predators because
right,
nothing
that's how
was used to eating
invasives
them.
work. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they just explode in growth, and then oftentimes they end up harming the natural population of
Mhm.
the animals there.
Yeah,
It's no good.
Connecticut has Asian shore crabs. What was the mussel we were talking about the other day?
What was it, like lion or something?
No,
zebra.
zebra mussels.
Those aren't natural.
No, those are invasive.
Because I was looking at the little fishing book that
Mm.
Dad picked up, when
Yeah.
and they were like people like farm them or whatever. Like they're
Those are invasives, and they're very
But they
small
still take
mussels. They can latch onto larger mussels and clams that
Can you
are native to this region and will take their food sources and end up killing those.
do people eat them? Do they like that they're here?
No,
I think
they're
they're
too
small,
small to
too
be
small,
worth eating or harvesting really.
Like 5 of them is the size of a quarter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Something
Oh,
like that.
the tiny
Very
things, and I know
tiny.
what you're talking about. Okay.
And then Asian shore crabs, like if you've ever been to the shore and turning over rocks or anything like that, those are the species you're most likely to find there.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're just absolutely everywhere. Obviously, an invasive and a big problem.
Not only creatures though, like algae and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
That can cause
Yeah.
big problems in lakes where you can't get rid of it.
So you were
How'd
talking
your
about
motor go?
so the
Yeah.
motor. We got to get to this motor. This is funny. So everybody says kind of be careful of pawn shops, and that was kind of the thing I knew growing up.
Yeah.
But we took a trip one day to some pawn shops and Goodwill and stuff, and I find it seemed like you can find some good stuff there if you really look and you're smart with what you're doing. So I'm like, I kind of know what I'm doing for the most part. So famous last words, right? So we go to this pawn shop and I saw an electric motor there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wish I could put it on a boat or whatever. and this was before I was thinking about restoring this Boston Whaler, and when I started getting the Boston Whaler, I'm like, oh, I need a motor, obviously. So I'm like, wait, I found a motor at that pawn shop, and this was like a week prior. So I'm like, oh, it can't be, nobody probably bought it. It's been sitting there for a while. I went back, motor was still there. We hooked it up. I brought a little battery charger, hooked it up to the wall. It worked perfect. I'm like, all right, I'm buying it. I go back outside. I was going to move some money onto my card outside because there's no data inside the store. I come back in, and there's a battery sitting on the counter. And the guy said, hey, I found a battery in the back. I'm like, ooh, all right. And at the time, I'm like all hyped up to get this boat working and the motor and stuff. So I just say, oh, I'll buy it. $50 for a freaking battery. When I got home,
battery from the freaking
exactly.
Oh,
so when I got home, right, I'm thinking like, oh, what a moron, right? This is stupid. The next day I sleep on, I wake up, I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. I go downstairs, I'm charging the battery. Battery was 100% like 2 hours prior. Before waking up, my mom like yelled to me, hey, it's done. And I go check it, battery was dead. I'm like, all right, battery's freaking shot. So I bring it down to my buddy who works on our car, and he said battery's completely shot. He's got a battery tester thing. So all right.
So you had something to check it though with in the store?
No, I didn't. It's just a charger. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything special.
You
Yeah.
didn't hook it up to the.
I did. I hooked it up to the motor. It was just dead because
It had that
was
one
low.
charge left in it, and then it didn't work.
That's
after
exactly
that,
what happened. The one charge was fine. I charged it to 100. It stayed, and then it drained itself because it was just bad plates. It was an old battery. Take it to my buddy at the store. He said, "Hey, this battery is like from the 90s." I'm like, "No way, no way." So I'm
Maybe
like,
it's worth something. It's so old.
"Yeah, exactly." In my mind, I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I'm freaking out now. I lost $50, and I'm not really working, so I don't really, $50 is kind of a lot as a college kid.
Yeah.
Over the summer when you're not working right now. So I go back to the pawn shop. I say, "Listen, guys, battery I got was freaking broken. All right,
You went back to it. Oh,
I'm like, I can't have this
What?
battery, guys. Like, you got to take it because
Pawn
this
shop.
is a bunch of crap." And I'm like, I was looking up reviews online, and you guys seem like nice guys, and it seemed like you guys are scamming me. And he's like, "Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. We're nice guys." I'm like, all right. And then he says, "All right, I'll take the battery back." So I run back to the guy at the car dealer. I bring the battery, take it from him. I go back to the pawn shop. I drop the battery off. I say, "Here, take it." They give me my credit back, refund me, and I'm like, I walk out. I'm probably never coming back in there.
Good
Wow.
for them.
Yeah,
No, they're good. Go back in there.
I might.
Yeah,
But anyways, I got a new battery coming.
You always got to give credit to
Yeah, that's pretty good. Go write them a
something
good
like
review.
that.
Pawn shops don't have to do that. type
I know
of
they
stuff.
don't.
No, yeah,
I know.
I figured you were boned after that.
I was freaking out. I was going to my dad. I'm like, "Dad, I need to talk to you. My dad's like, "Whatever, you got ripped off, But
Yeah. No,
they
good
were
for
good
them,
guys.
man.
So
How much is
shout
a
out
new
to them.
battery with a used one's?
125.
$50?
Now these are just car batteries.
No, these are they're marine or RV deep cycle batteries. Now, a deep cycle battery is designed to be drained slowly over time rather than a big surge and it's done. Like a car battery, you need a certain amperage to start your car, and then
Yeah.
after that, it kind of just doesn't really drain much, because the engine's charging it.
You also need a good connection.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, you gotta hear the story.
Yeah, he's got a
Way
car
over.
story too and all that. But deep cycle batteries are designed for like trolling motors and RVs. Like if you have like a generator running where it's just using constant power rather than draining all at once, like a big surge of electricity. And you need to get those, and they're very expensive. The smallest one that I'm getting, $125, and that's
How long does that go for?
if that one lasted from the 90s, man.
No. Sorry. How on a charge? How much boating can one do?
So the motor that I'm using is like a little 45. It says 45 pounds of thrusters, like 1.5 horsepower motor, and 12 volts of electricity. So I would say you're comfortable to go out for like 5 to 8 hours on the water.
Wow.
Because
okay.
again, you're
Then
not.
that's worth it.
Yeah, you're not running the motor the whole time. I'll
No,
probably
that's
go out
true.
there and disconnect the motor and just let it sit. Because
Yeah,
I'm
and a
not.
lot of it depends on how hard you run the motor, especially
That's
with
true.
electric motors, because
Mhm.
you can have it set at like the full speed, and it'll run the battery out in an hour or two, or you can have it set at like half speed or less,
Yeah, 10%.
especially if you're just moving around, if you're maneuvering or whatever, and you'll barely go through any.
Because once you get
It's not
moving,
linear.
yeah, exactly. Once you get moving, you don't really need a lot of thrust. It's really the initial. Yeah. So, car.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I've been working on this car. I've got so many car stories. I had so many problems. The most recent big one was my car had an oil leak, and until we could repair it, I was just adding oil like every week or so. So one day, I'm driving along. I had checked my oil just a few days beforehand, and I started to hear a funky noise. So when I got to my destination, I stopped and I checked the oil. Turns out it was low. Put some in, but the damage had been done. When I drove home later that day, it was not having it, so I had to... Yeah, it was making some funny noises. So I had to get it towed back to our house, and for just over a year, I've been working with my dad to rebuild the engine from scratch. So we finally got that done, finished up some of the last parts earlier today, and I was driving it over, and I come to a stoplight. This car is a manual transmission, so I gotta shift it and all, and I haven't driven a manual transmission since the car died over a year ago, so I'm a little rusty, and I stall it at the stoplight, and all the lights go off, and I try and start it again, and I'm not getting anything, and I'm like, oh no, did my car that I just spent an entire year working on just die? And I got really freaked out, and the light's green, and there's a whole bunch of people sitting behind me, and I'm in a turn lane, and it's a really busy intersection, and I'm like freaking out. So I get my dad on the phone. I'm like, hey, can you come get me? And at the very least, I figure we can push the car out of the way until we can figure out what's going on. But
What a situation.
honestly,
Dude, I've been at the intersections with you where you stalled the car. Remember that time we were coming home from Mitchell's house?
oh
dude?
man, and we sat at that intersection the entire time, and I stalled over and over again. And I finally went through right as it turned yellow.
We were sitting behind like a quarter mile of traffic to get to the light, right?
Yeah.
So everybody behind us was like, I just want to get home, dude. And
it was rough.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm sitting here, and I knew when we were first trying to start it, it was giving us some trouble. One of the connections on the battery wasn't working too well. So I was hoping that was the only problem. So now I'm sitting in this busy intersection with like 4 lanes going every direction. And I get out of my car, pop the hood, just cars honking as they fly by me, and I'm here messing with it, and I can't get it to go. So finally I take the jumper cables out, and I set them on the roof, hoping somebody will see it and be like, oh, maybe this guy needs a jump. They'll pull over, and hopefully that'll let it start. Finally some guy, he's actually going the other way, and he's like, hey, you need a jump? And I'm like, yes, please, thank you.
How far away were you from home?
I was about 15 minutes from home at that point, so
Nice.
it was going to take a while.
You can't run back to your dad.
Yeah, and my dad wanted my mom to come with us too, so we had all the hands we could get.
Oh, rigmarole, yeah.
And it was they were taking forever. They had only just left like a minute after I called them, and I was like, hey, I got it taken care of. But yeah, this guy finally came up and got me a jump, and it started, and it was all good. So I got through the light, and then I kept going, and then maybe 3 miles later, it happened again.
No.
Yeah,
You didn't tell me that, dude. Oh my god.
So I come to this light.
This guy behind you just giving you jumps at every light.
Jumper cables looked up as they're driving. Alright, buddy, go, go, go.
It takes 2 cars to drive 1 car.
So I came to another light, and this time I was like 2 cars back from the light, and sure enough, I stalled it. And this was uphill, so it's kind of understandable. It's tough to get started up a hill. I stalled it, and I'm like, oh, great. And so I'm waving people around me, and they're still flying by honking, and it's like, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. But and so finally the light turns red, and since it's another busy road, a bunch of people pull up next to me. And I know a jump start will get it going. And I'm like, I go to a few of the cars right there, and I'm like, hey, could you give me a jump? And they're like, no, sorry. I'm like, you gotta pop your hood. That's all you gotta do. Come on. And so I'm like, well, since nobody here is gonna give me a jump, I go back and I start like rapping on it with my Leatherman. And I hook the jumper cables up.
Sparks everywhere.
Like, hey, maybe I'll get some electricity from the ground or something. I don't know. And I go back in and I'm messing with it, and then all of a sudden it starts. Like the connection must have gotten moved just enough, and it starts up. So I managed to get through the next green light, which is a miracle, honestly. And then from there on out, I kind of gunned it every time I had to start. And unfortunately, there's a little hole in the exhaust, so the car's a little louder than it needs to be. And then gunning it makes it even louder. So I was making quite a racket, but
Awesome.
I managed to make it.
Yeah.
Only stalled twice.
Now, but so how about which way did you come? Because I know you're not on the highway because you're still in that like break-in period.
Yeah, so there's the break-in period, about 500 miles. You got to take it easy, keep it under like 55-ish miles an hour. So I'm in that period, so I'm going to be taking back roads almost everywhere I go. So I took, 372 most of the way.
Yeah.
From Middletown, I went by Walmart and Cromwell and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, gotcha.
Zigzag.
And what is the reason for that break-in period?
So when you rebuild an engine, there's a whole bunch of small parts within the pistons that move up and down, especially the rings. There's these rings. They've got a small little gap because they're not a solid ring. So that small gap is like 1/1000th of an inch or something. It's really small, but it's just big enough that where the ring sits, everything will wear out. But right in that one gap, it won't wear out.
Oh, okay, I see.
And so you do the break-in period, and it wears just enough that the ring's locked in place and it won't shift around, and then your engine should be good to go for a long, long time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I've heard it was a difference between 80,000 mile engine and like a 200, 300,000 mile engine. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. A good break-in period is a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
It can double or triple your engine's lifespan.
That's surprising.
Yeah, you know what's funny actually. Speaking of that, I've seen that the new Acuras, the NSX. Am I saying that right? Right.
It's something like
one
that,
of the high end sports cars that Acura has. They actually disconnect. They fully build the car, disconnect the motor, put it on a motor like chassis thing, and they run the motor for like 2,000 miles. Put it back in the car, rebuild it, clean it out, and then you buy your car and there's no break-in period because it's already been done.
A lot of modern manufacturers they do the break-in period for you because most people showing up to a car dealership don't want to spend the first 500 miles driving at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, they want to rip out of there.
Yeah. Even if you're buying a new car, you should still be careful with it at the beginning because there's a lot of stuff you don't want to do. You don't want to gun it or anything because that can mess with stuff. But they do the break-in period, so at least you're set with that. And if you do treat it crazily right off the bat, it won't be the end of the world. The car will still survive.
Now, how ridiculous was the process of rebuilding the engine?
Oh, man.
It's a long story.
Unfortunately, it took us over a year, but that was largely because of certain people who were involved. Cough, cough, dad, cough. Who are really good at procrastinating and coming up with excuses as to why they don't want to work on it. So it took a lot longer than it needed to, but either way, it's a really intense process. You have to unplug everything from the whole engine block and everything. Once you get all that out, you got to pull the engine out of the car, disassemble everything in there. You have to measure a whole bunch of stuff and get everything to the perfect tolerances. A lot of things within thousandths of an inch or even smaller.
I don't believe that you did that.
We absolutely
There's no
did.
way you could get it
Absolutely.
to 1,000th of an inch. What are you using?
So, one of the things on the...
Did you say barometers?
No, micrometer.
we had a caliper. We didn't have a micrometer, but we do have a feel gauge, which is just a whole bunch of really thin sheets of metal. And you can use those to tell how much clearance there is.
Yeah.
So in some places we'd have to measure it until we could get it within a certain amount. And while we were trying to get it within that amount, for one, you can order the parts so that they're sized just right. Or we didn't really want to spend too much money ordering all these new parts because they're relatively expensive because they're so custom. So we took some sandpaper, some really fine sandpaper, put it on a sheet of glass so it was nice and flat, and then sanded it down. We just had to be really careful.
Like, how accurate can that even be?
Oh, it was incredibly accurate. You just you sand a little bit.
Incredibly accurate.
That's
sandpaper on glass, just like they do.
That's
in
basically
shops,
what they would.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically all.
You
they
ever
would
been
do
to a
in
That's the
Volkswagen?
thing you use for like
Freaking
stops, right? On like
Yeah.
a tractor or something. The points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how you adjust them. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you had all that apart, you had to start putting everything back together whatever you needed to replace, you had to buy new ones.
Well, how much did you have to replace?
Uh,
You take it apart and most of it has to be replaced, or only like a small portion?
It would depend on your exact situation.
Mhm.
Fortunately, since I stopped and I added oil after I first heard the noise, the damage wasn't too bad.
Mhm.
But some of the pistons were a little busted up, and the crankshaft had some issues. So we got a new crankshaft and a few new piston parts.
So not too bad.
It wasn't too bad, no. So, which is why we ended up deciding to go the route of rebuilding instead of buying a new one. The car is a 1999 Toyota Camry. If you want to get an engine for one of these, they tend to be relatively expensive because they last an absurd amount of time. So junkyards and stuff, they've got them, and they're still going to be good for a long time, so they sell them for a decent amount of money.
Mhm.
And we didn't want to spend that pretty penny. So we decided to rebuild it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then putting everything back together is a real mess, because everything has to be put in perfectly, all within the specs. You have to lube everything up with engine oil, engine grease. There's assembly oil, which disintegrates into when it gets touched by engine oil, and
It's cool.
there's a lot going on, and you got to put every single piece back where it belongs. It's like if you had a puzzle that was like 100,000 pieces, and it was 3D.
And you're
that's
confident
kinda
you did all. That's my thing. Like,
Yeah, that's cool.
I could never be confident enough to know that I didn't mess up. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
rebuild.
The
I
way
mean-
you know you didn't mess up is if the car's running.
Yeah, it's true.
I drove here. Didn't
Yeah,
I?
You know, you rebuild your whole engine.
Stalled
You
twice
stalled
on the way.
twice.
I mean,
That's because I suck.
That's the
That's
funny
because
part.
I'm
Yeah,
rusty
yeah.
at driving stick. You know.
You rebuild the whole engine, and there's like one part that's not in the engine. You're like,
Well-
Where was this?
Uh-oh.
Admittedly, we do have like 5 or 6 leftover bolts, and we're like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
what?
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
may have just gotten mixed in
Yeah, that can happen.
from other stuff.
So,
We figure that's what it is. 'Cause it
so
works.
here's my question. I never could get a straight answer on this. Like, I looked it up online and stuff. Now, a 4-stroke engine,
Yeah.
does it spray oil directly into the cylinder?
It would depend on the engine.
Okay.
They can do it in slightly different ways. But they do usually, they put
Okay.
oil in the cylinder because that's a high friction area.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you know how you say you replace your oil level doesn't really go down much, does it? It just needs to get replaced. 'Cause
It
it's
can.
old?
You can wear off some oil,
Okay.
especially if your engine isn't running
Yeah.
perfectly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where does the oil go when it's not in the reservoir?
So, when it's down in the oil pan, which is usually right at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
the oil pump will suck it up, and it brings it to the top, and it spreads it out.
Okay.
And then from there, it just runs down through the engine, and then
Oh, it
across
literally
the
just
piece.
okay.
Yeah. So it's designed to let it run. There's little nooks and crannies everywhere so that it can flow through.
yeah, I think that's just the difference between a 2-stroke and 4-stroke engine. You ever been to like a
Two-stroke sprays
fair?
it directly, right?
Well, no. You ever been to a fair and you see those like the woodcutter thing?
okay, yeah, like a
Like
hydraulic.
and it doesn't make the like regular sounding explosion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about, like
Yeah.
the wood cutting thing. That's a 2-stroke engine, right?
Yeah,
Because the two-stroke is mixed directly in, right, with the gas.
oftentimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you see that a
The
lot with
weed
like
whacker.
lawnmowers and snow blowers
Yeah.
and weed whackers.
Yeah.
So you have a oil gas combination instead
Right.
of just adding oil.
Now here's another thing. Now transmission that has its own oil, correct?
Yeah, it's got transmission fluid.
Transmission fluid.
So
yeah.
that's slightly different,
Okay.
and that's specific for the transmission. Generally, you don't have to change that nearly as much, and that
Mhm.
sticks around a lot longer.
And that's the
It doesn't-
same for both automatic and standard.
I think the transmission fluid itself can be the same.
Okay.
It depends on the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You want specific transmission fluid for your transmission.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are
pretty
those
much
tend to be
it,
pretty
okay.
similar.
No, we're just going to take a quick break to let you guys know about a little project we have coming up. And our friend Joe, we haven't really told him about this yet.
Uh-oh.
We got big merch coming your way.
Big merch?
Yeah,
Big
big
merch.
merch. We're thinking about
Absolutely.
merch. We're thinking about So
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
do you
That's
see
right.
this?
Wait, that's the hat that you
It's
got.
coming through.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
the
cool.
merch,
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. All right, so let's
That's
break it down
awesome.
for you. Right, we're gonna have some designs. Craig had thought up a few designs. I don't know how much we want to give away yet, but basically, I work at this place where, well, let's just put it like this: I have some connections.
Ooh.
I can.
Scheming.
We're gonna get some. Yeah, exactly. Scheming, dude. We're gonna get some customized merch your guys' way. I know you've been asking for it for a long time, so it's coming out. We're gonna do some sick designs. We're gonna put the logo up on there. It's gonna be great.
Plenty of ideas in the works.
Yeah.
Don't
and
worry about it.
feel free to leave in the comments below any ideas for merch.
Or
Because
if you're just hyped yourself and you're ready to get some,
Ready to start
maybe we'll
this
push
podcast.
things a little faster than we currently have planned.
yeah, dude. And we're also gonna do. I think we have plans for a face reveal at some point. We need
Face reveal, come on.
Yeah, face
right
reveal.
off the bat, dude.
Yeah, dude, face
No, you gotta
reveal.
hype it up first. That's
Yeah,
the
dude,
thing.
face reveal, dude. It's gonna happen. We're looking on getting the video equipment.
The old
set up.
camcorders.
Yeah, dude, the VHS tapes, dude.
Yo, real quick, speaking of that, I think I mentioned this to you guys before. When you're seeing like UFO sightings,
Yeah.
and they're like fairly recent, right? They're like that nasty camera
They're so
quality.
awful.
I saw
Filming
some
on, like,
comment or whatever.
iPhone 3.
Yeah, and somebody said, "Hey, there's a UFO outside. Let me go whip out my, 1970s VHS like recorder or something." What happened to the iPhones? Like, what?
Yeah.
That's funny.
They're always like super punched in zoom.
Yeah, they're
too, so
nasty
always,
too. They like
flipping
zoom
it.
all the way in.
Yeah.
Look at that little.
Still a point of
You
light.
see that bug up there? That's a UFO. The bug on the lens.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get some video set up, and we're gonna have a face reveal, and if we could hit a like goal.
No, stop. No. Don't be cringy right off the bat. Come on.
Yeah, dude.
Wait, how long should we do these first? You know?
So that
That's the
that
thing.
was another thing.
That's what we
Do you
can
want to
talk
know
about.
what we're at right now?
Yeah.
I just opened
Hit us up.
the stupid freaking Microsoft Mail app. We're at 32 minutes.
That's actually pretty good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, you've been checking it.
But it was really more than we have to get in the deep conversations though, like on
Yeah,
Discord that we have.
So this
We
is
have
just
some
our
good
first
topics
thing.
from
Craig,
today.
Craig and Jonathan are going to give
Yeah,
us
we'll,
their day for how it started, what they did today. But
Yeah, thanks
we're,
for inviting me.
we're just trying to.
Of course.
We're just trying to figure out how this is going to work and everything. We're just going to keep grinding them out, and whoever watches it and whoever likes it, that's awesome. We're just going to keep pumping them out, I think is the plan, and we'll just see how it goes. So we'll jump right into our next topic. We got Jonathan and Craig. They're going to talk to us about their day. They went on an expedition.
When we went on a hiking trip today,
Well, first of all, it's Memorial Day 2018, so no work because it's a holiday.
right, everyone has it off. And one of the
Nothing
things
in
that
advance when I had to buy parts this morning.
one of the things that we decided to do was go hiking today, and so I had recently gone to Devil's Hop Yard, a good hiking area in Connecticut, down towards the shoreline, which is a decent ways from where we are. And so I invited Jonathan, my cousin, on the trip, and we went to a Memorial Day parade this morning, and after that decided that we would go straight from there to Devil's Hop Yard for the hike. It was about an hour drive down, and we parked, got out, did about 2 hours of hiking with it.
At least, maybe closer to 3.
Yeah,
I don't know.
2
I
to
didn't
3
feel that
hours.
long. I wasn't doing
Two. Thanks, Joe.
The old rip.
Yeah, 2-3 hours of hiking. About. We did a nice loop around one of their main trails next to a nice waterfall, and then off on one of the longer trails that they had there. Came back, and
You did?
yeah,
Luckily, we made it back from
I'm
the
glad.
hike.
I'm glad.
yeah, made it back, and got in the car, and we were feeling a bit hungry at the time, so we had Jonathan here start looking up food places on the phone. I'll let him take it from here.
Turns out, we're in the middle of nowhere, and there's no food to be found anywhere within a 10-mile radius of us.
That's Devil Hop Yard for you.
Yes, that's western or eastern Connecticut for you, mainly. So I'm looking for like 10 minutes trying to find somewhere to eat, and one place that comes up that has a 5-star rating
one
and
person.
serves lunch is called Now That's Good Bread.
And it's a bakery. So, the
That's funny.
name suits it. Kind of a funny thing. Well, go ahead and read the review that we had on that. Pull that up real quick.
The first review that I saw for this place was a funny one. It goes, "Now this is a good company that employs the mentally disabled, which always makes me spend more money. They serve breakfast and lunch."
Thanks. That's good to know.
That's the entire review. That is the entire review, and we really weren't sure what to think about that, honestly.
But there's not much else in this area, so we decided, what the hell, we'll go for it.
It's special food.
Yeah. So we we head out, and I think it was like a 15-minute drive or something along those lines from where we were at the Hop Yard hiking area there. And so we head out, and mostly just real
rural
slow,
roads.
Yeah, slow, windy
Yeah, dude,
roads.
we gotta go long way or something, dude. The
Yeah,
roads are
that honestly could work.
But
Yeah, dude, they're like super grimy and like gritty, I think.
Yeah, towards the shoreline
Yeah,
they tend to
no,
get.
Connecticut in general has the worst roads in the country, so...
There you go. And so anyway, we head out, and yeah, most of the roads are just real windy, slow roads where you wouldn't expect any large businesses, 5-star rated businesses at that, to be located. And we get on a busier road and start heading towards it. And at this point, it's only 4 or 5 minutes away. So we're like, all right, well, maybe we'll hit it soon on this. A little more traffic on this road. We'll be there soon. And then it has us turn off the busy road into a more windy. Once again, farm. We're near farmland at this point, right? Turned off into this another windy road. And Jonathan says, "Oh, 2 minutes away now. What's going on?"
Don't you love that, dude? When you're like 300 feet away and you're still like in the middle of the woods, like
yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, also at this point, I'm like, we're gonna have to walk into someone's house and order food. Like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, obviously it's too late to turn back. We're here almost, so you might as well check it out. So the last road we turn on, a left turn onto, once again, right-hand side, complete farmland, left-hand side, just forest. Heading down the road, and, the GPS notifies us, 100 feet, destination is on your right? So we're pulling up, and there it is, just on our right. As predicted by Jonathan,
Just a house,
somebody's farmhouse
with a farm and a guy riding on a tractor.
Some dude is riding a tractor out in the field right outside his house, and it says, this is what's the name?
Now that's good bread.
That was the actual place.
No sign.
No sign.
That's good bread.
You've reached your destination.
You've reached your destination. I don't know if that was the correct. I don't know if the GPS got it wrong. I don't know what, but obviously we weren't going to turn into this dude's long driveway,
busy cutting his grass,
and ask him about the good bread that he had.
That's really funny.
So yeah, we scratched that one, obviously, and headed back onto the main road. We had Jonathan scout out another place.
Still not much around, even though we're on like a busier road. Mm-hmm. Not much food in the areas.
Yeah.
Missed out on the good bread, guys.
Yeah. And
you'll never know how good the bread was.
Yeah, I know, really.
What was the next place?
Gotta go back.
We had recently had burgers, so we weren't trying to go to a burger place. So one of the other options that was reasonably close was an Asian bistro.
Asian bistro. Those are good. That's what it was.
Yeah, it had like hibachi and sushi and all that kind of stuff.
It was a good rating, and the menu looked all right. Yeah, so we said, all right, let's check it out. We drive down the busy road.
Was this another farmhouse?
Yeah, really.
Not quite.
No, we go down the road again, and shortly on our way, we pull into a very small plaza, and the plaza only had maybe 2 or 3 cars. Ooh. The entire thing, right?
So like the workers.
Right. Yes.
We parked right in front of the bistro.
Right in front of the bistro.
Curtains blocking the entire view. You can't see anything inside.
Black window door.
Oh.
We just... No.
Two now? Oh my god, I would.
So we just scratched that one, and Jonathan looks up another place, and what was it? The next place we found.
It's called Harry's Place.
Harry's Place.
Ooh.
Harry's
There you
Place.
go.
I'll tell you what.
They're really just taking anything at this point.
I know, really.
Basically, we were willing to
He's
try.
going to Stop and Shop at this point, get some like hamburgers.
We passed one on the way to Harry's Place. It was,
Yeah,
tempting.
And so we head down the road. Coming up on it now, we see it's your classic roadside burger and hot dog joint. But again, we didn't want burgers, but it had more on the menu. So sandwiches,
Chicken.
chicken, BLT, anything like that. Any lunch item that you could, imagine. It had it there, and so we're coming up on it, and the whole roadside to the, it's basically a shack that they're serving the food out of. To the left and right of Harry's Place, dirt lots
Popping with cars.
filled with cars. We said, all right,
Here
we go.
I mean, what were you
picnic tables scattered around the
Bikers
place.
left and right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
And so we parked the car, we get out, and, sure enough, like I said, your classic roadside, joint that you get, nice burger.
Americana.
Milkshakes.
Classic Memorial Day meal.
Right.
That's true. There you go.
Busy, yeah.
Hot dogs. We both ended up getting the same meal: chili cheese fries, a plain hot dog, and a small.
So it did
small
work
vanilla
out.
shake.
Did work
We
out.
we got our lunch.
They didn't get the bread, though.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah,
bread.
40 minutes later than we wanted it, but
We'll never
Where
know
were
how
you
good
at
the
this
bread
point?
was.
never know.
We're gonna go
How
back.
far away from home are you?
We're going back.
Same
An hour,
about the
maybe?
same distance.
So you're just kind
Yeah,
of going in loops.
went through Hartford on the way back. But
While at Harry's, we did manage to see one of those 3-wheeled.
Oh, man.
They're called slingshots. 2 wheels in the
you
front,
guys
1
must
wheel in the
have
back.
Motorcycle
and not
Oh,
It's
oh,
like
oh,
the size of a car.
The
almost,
the
though.
spider things. That's what they're called, right?
and they have
It's
and
called
they-
I know what
slingshot.
you're saying.
Slingshot.
Yeah.
the
Thought they're called
seats in there.
spiders,
The low
I made
seats
this.
thing.
Yeah, I made this observation today. The seats in these cars are like, it's like if you strap into a roller coaster.
Oh, really?
It's just so weird.
Yeah.
We're pulling up
Yeah,
a
yeah,
picture
it's
now.
bad.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's just an odd vehicle, and so we were chatting about it during lunch.
It's cool.
Figuring out prices for this, because obviously it's not the most
30,000.
practical vehicle. I mean, you don't have any back storage compartments for anything. You're just
No,
This
it's a
doesn't
rich
even come with
person's
a
car.
roof. You have to buy a roof separately.
Are you serious?
yeah.
Yes.
What was the price of the roof?
The roof was $2,500.
$2,500 for a roof to your car if you wanted to buy that separately, and then the car was
The car itself was anywhere from $21,000 to $25,000.
Oh my god.
No, that doesn't surprise me at all. Because the only people who buy those types of things are millionaires who have money.
True.
to throw
Well,
away.
yeah,
you
don't
got
because
care.
money to burn.
it's all the downsides of a motorcycle where you're like super exposed and in a lot of trouble.
You're gonna
And
die
it's all the
within a
downsides
crash.
of a car because
Yeah,
it doesn't have any of the protection of a car.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looks
But
you
it's not
can't
as
take
small as
that
a
anywhere.
motorcycle.
Doesn't the back wheel only turn though? Like what's? I
No,
don't know.
so
turn.
it's
I hope
2
not.
wheels in the front, 1 in the
Yeah.
back, obviously. Minimize
2 in the
tipping.
front must turn.
Yeah,
I would
2
imagine.
in the
They
front
do
are the
too,
turn.
they do for okay. Because it looks like the back wheel is like
And I would-
it looks like you can sit on the,
The
back
back
wheel
wheel's
and
like
almost
extra
drive
wide.
They
it.
probably
Yeah.
have power on the back wheel and steering
I
wheel.
don't know
Probably, yeah.
about power in the back. I would imagine power in the front too, as well.
I
The
mean,
back must
maybe,
tilt, though.
but
Has-
No, because it's kind of like a triangle.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But it
There's
does
no
look like if
weight
you
back there.
get
you know?
2 guys on one side, you could jump and like tip it or
Yeah.
something. You're tipping down the highway. You know? Those things that you were showing the Arabs were doing.
Yeah, the
that
Saudi drift compilation.
Saudi getting one of
Saudi
those.
drift compilations. If
Yeah,
you ever want to
you
watch
gotta
something
kill some time, dude.
interesting,
my
yeah,
God.
Saudi drift
a time
compilation.
killer.
They're
Search
good
on
ones.
YouTube. Saudi drift
Good
compilation.
stuff.
People just tipping. What were the vehicle?
like a
They
Toyota. Like
No,
just,
no. The
tuk-tuks.
Land Rovers.
yeah, they get Land
Yeah.
Rovers and they
must mod them on. or
do like
something.
they're modded out. They're like they have like over 700
Saw
horsepower.
that.
Every single one of
That's
those
nuts.
things.
Oh
They're-
really? Because they
Yeah,
need the
they're like
torque
sports cars.
to. Yeah.
Just in a
Nasty body.
Land Rover body.
Yeah.
So they'll like take a sharp turn or whatever maneuver they need to do, and they'll get it up on 2 wheels. So it's just like sitting sideways, and it just drives
And
sideways.
You
down
will
the
see
road.
these people cruise down the entire length of a highway strip. I mean, there are videos of people, unbolting the wheels. The two
Yeah,
side wheels.
they take the
They're
wheels
flip
off.
flops, dude.
They're up on the car and they're unbolting the wheels
This
and
dude's
taking
in
them
flip
off.
flops, gets
Oh,
outside
man.
And they
of the
glide,
car
yeah.
and holds himself up on
Yeah,
the
they're
door.
hanging
and
on
They glide
roof
on
of
the
car and
pavement.
slides
Yeah.
on
Dude
the
gets
pavement.
out of his car on flip flops. He's hanging on the side door and he's gliding on the pavement in
Yeah.
his flip flops.
See his hip flip flops just.
Yeah,
Sand down.
slowly wearing.
Sand down, dude.
At least you can't do that in Connecticut, though. The roads are too bad for that. Jam your foot up, it'll die.
But so that was our hiking adventure today.
Yeah, it was good.
Sounds like a blast.
That's everything we have on the dock to talk about. Unless anybody has anything off the cuff, I
We
think
got
could...
that the data breaches, all this privacy.
All right, so yeah, all right.
mess.
Yeah, the whole why
To bring it back
yeah.
to like a normal podcast and to sort of like get out of our own heads, and just talk about like things, our perspective on stuff. We wanted to like pull in some sort of like in the news deal, and we're gonna do the Amazon Alexa that like told the coworker about this conversation they had. You heard that, Joe?
I did see something like that.
I have not heard
Jonathan
much
hasn't heard
about
any
I
of
this.
literally just read the headline. Which
So
is
I think
very
me
bad
and
to
John
do,
can
but-
like give us the rundown, and you guys just spit in
Okay.
when you want to. So to my understanding, and yeah, pull up some sort of
All right. Well, while
Fact
he's
check
pulling
me
it
here.
up,
Yeah.
I have a Google Home, and I
Yeah.
noticed that if you log onto your Google Home app and go to, you gotta like find it. You gotta dig for it a
I'm
little
sure
bit in the app.
very, yeah.
But it sends you to a link on like a web page on Google, and it literally has all the voice commands that when you said it recorded it.
Yeah.
So if it hears that it said "Okay Google," it will
Oh, really?
record everything. Yeah, and because what they use it for is they really just use it to improve the device, but
Okay.
your information is recorded. They say it's private to you, but
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it's recording your voice when you say "Okay, Google,"
yes, they record
so that it can compare it when you say it again. Or
Yeah, so it literally just improves the device, and that's how the Google Now is so good than it used to be like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because they literally used everybody who's been using it
Yeah.
to make it better, and
Yeah.
that's
I mean, that's all it is. You just need to test
Yeah,
them and have
it's-
people.
yeah.
Go. So anyway, so the story with this Amazon thing, right? They had this lady had her house like kitted out. She was like super fanatic fanboy about Amazon for whatever reason. She's like in the newsfeed, she's like holding up a whole pile of like 6
That's
Amazon
funny.
Alexas. She's like, I had all these in my house.
That's
Like,
something I
I mean, can you blame them though? When I have
They're
a house,
awesome.
it's gonna be filled with
like
all
if,
that.
They are
if
awesome,
if anybody is going to be the person who gets their private message sent to their boss, it's probably the lady with 6 Amazon Alexas.
Oh, sends a private message to her boss.
So no, all right. So it was just some, and I don't quote me on any of this. So her and her husband were just having a conversation about like the tile or
Uh-huh.
the wood paneling they were going to buy for their like kitchen or whatever, and throughout the conversation, it was just misinterpreting like
The words
phrases
and
like
stuff,
"Hey Alexa." So it got to the point where it like misinterpreted like 6 things in a row to the point where it was like, "Hey Alexa, turn on. Hey Alexa, record this. Hey Alexa,
Gee.
stop recording this. Hey Alexa, send this to my contact."
I don't know about that.
Well, no, that's their story. And it was like backed by Amazon. They were like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
actually
Amazon
Oh,
story?
Amazon actually
well,
looked this up?
that was their explanation for it. Yeah.
Oh.
And so it sent it. So the like coworker calls up. He's like, "Yo, turn off your things right now." So
But
they do that.
But the conversation was just about tile or
It was
something.
nothing
wasn't-
important. No,
But that shows
but
that it can
but the
record.
point it was
Yeah.
like.
It's
like,
good that
that's
this is
the sort-
brought up
but,
now.
But I
Yes.
don't know like how anybody has any expectation of that not happening. Like if you're gonna put one of those things in your house,
Yeah, you're explicitly buying a product that's going to listen 24/7.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
it
people
doesn't
don't.
turn
so that
Yeah,
it knows when you start talking to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it will listen to what you say, so that it can do what you ask it to do.
yeah, like
You've
that's
paid
the
for
point.
this product.
Yeah.
You intentionally put this in your house. Why are you getting upset about it doing its job?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
sure,
I
it
mean
messed
it's
up a
an
little
error,
bit,
but
but-
like that's to be
See,
expected.
that's funny to me because I know with the Google stuff, it will ask you for a confirmation. It says, "Do you want to send X, Y,
Well,
and Z
yeah,
to?"
from my understanding,
you know,
it went through all of that,
And they just didn't even hear it.
and well, it heard confirmation for all of these things.
Huh?
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
I also like it makes like a noise or whatever. It talks to you,
Mm-hmm.
but they like had the thing muted for
Muted,
whatever
yeah.
reason because they were talking. But yeah, like
That's
I
scary.
don't get like it's not scary. That's
No,
the
it's
thing.
not scary.
Like,
Right,
like,
right.
If I had one of those things in my house, I would not be shocked at all if like somebody called me.
Yeah,
up and was
if
like,
you don't want
hey,
something...
I got a recording of your thing. Like it's always listening to
absolutely.
you. How is there any like expectation of privacy?
Yeah, there's.
Well, I
it's
mean, no,
silly.
sorry, that's not the word. There's an expectation of privacy, but there's how is there?
It's silly to think it won't mess up.
Yeah,
and
for
actually
sure
do
there's
something
some
simple
mistake.
like that. It was it was just.
I think people
It
have blundered out
misunderstood,
before.
yeah.
And that just means that
It's to be
Amazon needs
expected.
needs to just work on the voice recognition.
Yeah,
Really.
I mean, that's all.
Yeah,
It is.
and the technology where it is incredible,
It's very
especially
good,
considering how far it's come in recent times. But it's far from perfect.
Yeah, there's some
and it's
stuff
very
I understand.
apparent. I'm sure all these people understand. You say something to it, and once in a while, at least once in a while, probably relatively often, it'll repeat back like, "Oh, you wanted me to do this?" And you're like, "No, that's not at all what I said."
Well, even
Right.
when we were down at your buddies in
Yeah.
New Jersey, the thing was like it went off a couple of times when it wasn't.
Yeah, there were a
supposed to.
few
Just even
times
thought it heard "Hey Alexa."
Yeah, because
But yeah, I mean,
and sorry for anyone who's listening to this and their Alexa's
yeah,
going
right.
crazy now. But yeah, like it goes off on occasion. You're like, okay, that could be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you say things that sound kind of like Alexa.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing I noticed with again, I'm a Google fanatic, so I don't only have the Google products. I know the Amazon products are really good, but I feel like Alexa is a word that's more commonly used than Google. You know, like with the letters mixed.
Yeah, I mean,
Together, you know what I mean?
You don't
It's
talk
not
about
an insignificant-
Googleplex all the time, like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Common
Googleplex,
conversation.
everything.
Can you not
But I'm
change
saying,
the
like-
trigger word for them?
I don't think you can. Yeah,
Really?
Alexa, you can change a few, but like Google it's a funny word. You know, you're not gonna go around saying like
No,
Google,
yeah, I know what you
Google
mean.
or something. You know, like
That's-
something that
yeah.
sounds like it. So
That's a good point. I wonder, like,
But you could say, like, oh, go Google that, you know?
yeah, true. And that's
But you have to
know,
say, okay, Google, or something like that.
either hey or okay Google.
Yeah.
But now another thing was funny. I have my phone. Sometimes when I go in the shower, I'll put my phone out and I say, "Hey Google, play XYZ music" when I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that. It wasn't picking me up, and I heard like speaking outside. I'm like, "What the hell? I'm the only one home." Like I was freaking out. I like tried to reach for a knife in the bathroom, like a scissors or something. I opened the door, and it's my parents' Google Home in their room, which is next to the bathroom, like talking back to me. What did you say? What do you want me to do? I'm like, what the hell? It freaking heard me through the bathroom like door in the shower. And yeah, it was creepy.
wow.
It was kind of cool. It's like, you know, that's what it can do.
That's
you
what
know?
it's made to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
To steal another topic from other places, did you hear the self-driving car? Remember some time ago the Uber that killed a person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they like came back with like the report on that, and so it was a car, right? And it had a person in it, an Uber employee that's supposed to be watching everything. And
It's a self-driving car?
it's a self-driving car, yeah.
But there's a person in it.
yes,
Yeah, they need a person for safety and
For, like,
everything because
Legal.
what if it goes wrong?
And this
So-
is out on the
Make no
road in
mistakes.
full
yeah,
use.
yeah.
It's
No,
not
this
being
was an
tested
Uber
or
being.
anything.
Well, they've been through that already.
Okay.
I don't know, like
It's just like
this was
Tesla's
some
doing
time
it.
ago.
Yeah, so there's a lot of car crashes with them too.
Yeah,
A lot.
but
there's been like 3 ever.
Mm. Oh, really?
They don't
Alright,
have
whatever.
very
So I don't
many.
want to interrupt. Them.
yeah. So the lady was walking her bike across the street, and the car hit her, and she died from her injuries later.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's this person, right, sitting in the driver's seat who they have this like big dock bay thing. You know how like the new cars have that fancy TV thing in the,
Yeah.
in the,
Yeah.
the thing. So there's like a feed of like everything that's going on. So the person's looking at the screen down here, right? And the car is like, to my understanding, right? The car was, it sensed some obstacle, and then like a couple seconds before the impact, it sensed that it was a bicycle, and it sensed that it was too close and that it needed to like perform some sort of a maneuver to stop it. But I don't know if it was Uber or whatever company it was in charge of that had disabled the ability of the car to
Oh, wow.
emergency brake itself
Wow.
because it figured a person would be there and it would be able to, you know.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Get
so
in.
Uber's gonna get
So
sued.
the machine knew something was going wrong, and it knew to correct for it, and it couldn't because somebody else thought they were too smart and they disabled the feature.
That's
that
the
would,
thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the technology is at a point where if we had it and we let it go,
yeah,
it could do everything fine.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But because of all the issues like moral and ethical issues.
Dude, you seen that?
It makes a mess.
There's like some web app somewhere where it's like help the AI car like make the moral decision, and it like presents you with like a car with like people in it, or like a baby and a dog and a cat. Or something.
Here we go. It's the lever thing.
Yeah, and it's like, do you crash the car into the pillar, killing everybody in the car, or into the like street of people? And there's another like baby car, and you can like set your own scenarios.
Those suck. Stop. It's so bad.
Yeah, I've seen that before too.
We should play one of those.
Yeah.
There's like a crowd of people if you continue going straight, but if you choose to swerve the car, you only kill 2 people.
Yeah.
But you chose to kill those 2 people instead of
and
possibly
this little web app, it'll like instead of just people, it'll have like person, doctor, like homeless person. Like so you could put a person, a doctor, and a homeless person in a car. And like present that with the option of should the car kill those 3 people or like some animals on the road. You just set it up for like people
to sociological.
It's a philosophy thing.
And that's one of the big problems.
But people just like ruined it. And they were like kill 6 dogs or 6 dogs. Like,
That's so bad.
That's funny. Well, I wonder if
it's
there's
a stupid little like MSP web app.
If there's a point in time, because I've seen. I mean, this was maybe 7 to 10 years ago. I saw. On this Science Channel TV show or whatever, they were interviewing this guy with a product, and it was his table saw that he invented, and what it would do if it sensed something that wasn't wood or metal or whatever, something hard, it would lock itself up and essentially
something in the blade.
Essentially break the whole table saw, but you say your finger, your arm, or whatever.
I've actually used that machine and seen it work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't even break your skin.
It doesn't. It just I don't know how it does it, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a point in time where we're going to have laws or restrictions or something that, like something smacks into the engine, or something seizes the engine, so it breaks it, but it stops the car instantly.
Like just actual straight up,
or something like maybe there are pins in the wheels that
blow
just
just complete beyond the parking.
Just blows the car up too. That would stop it.
Just have a 15-ton nuke in the bottom of the car.
The road just opens up and swallows the car.
I mean, the problem with that is you still have the car's momentum.
Well,
it would kill the driver, obviously.
Stupid, yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
Problem solved.
Like if it senses like a crowd of people, right, and there's one guy in a car, what if it stops? Because there are ways you can stop a car pretty quickly, you know.
Yeah.
But,
no, definitely, but
yeah, but that is a really big and a tough thing to get by, and that's one of the reasons why all the autonomous stuff has so much trouble. Because how do you make a decision like that?
Yeah. You just gotta let it happen.
Right.
People have been making wrong decisions for millennia.
That's the
time
thing.
to let some androids do this.
With human drivers, they can make that snap-second decision, and it's just, and they make that decision, and okay, with a computer that's driving the car, somebody has to go and think about the situation, and they have to put value on these people's lives, who's worth more.
Yeah.
I also saw. I think it was Vsauce and his YouTube Red series where he did an experiment where he had people come in and they were looking at a train, like a train conductor's booth or whatever, and they were testing a new train, and there happened to be guys working on the tracks where the train was headed, and these people, like, the conductor, like, explained that you have to pull this lever to switch the tracks, and that's as complicated as it is. And then he, like, stepped out to take a phone call or whatever, and this random person's left in the booth to man it for a minute. And they see that there's people on the tracks, and then there's, like, 2 people on one track and 1 person on the other. And the 2 people are on the track that the train is headed to, and the 1 guy is on the track that switching the lever will direct the train to. So they're left in that situation to think for themselves and make the action if they should or feel like they should. And almost every time they chose not to act.
Yeah.
Really?
I think only 1 out of the 7 people or whatever that the test was performed on chose to pull the lever and switch the train track.
The 1 person rather than the 2.
Yeah, but in that moment you don't know what.
I wouldn't, because that's me. Like we did this test, and I took a philosophy course my first semester in college. And we did those like lever tests, what would you do? Pull the lever on a bunch of babies or dogs or kids, whatever, And it literally goes down to your reasoning in your head, and it goes down to an arguments of like utilitarianism, and there's like another one, but it's almost it's kind of like ties with political and ties with background and stuff. But like utilitarians kind of think that if somebody has utility or whatever, like if they're a good person, they're a good person, then you would try to save them more than 5 people who are just regular people. And then there's also things that if there's more people, you would save the more people rather than the less people, just because they're different mindsets, I guess, that people have.
At the same time, when you're taking those tests, you know that it's not real. They think it's a real situation.
Right.
So
that's scary. Yeah,
that's one thing. A lot of those kinds of things, you think, oh yeah, I would act this way, or I would act this way, and then you're in that situation, and it's
you just freeze.
Oftentimes, it's life or death,
I would like
and
to try that.
It's a fight or flight reaction, and there's no thought that goes into it. It's just what you instinctively do, and that's usually not what you think you'd do. And anyone in those like insane situations can tell you like, oh, I didn't expect to do that. Especially like in a lot of things, it's you might hear about somebody who's like some hero, they saved 20 people's lives or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, I just like it's just what happened. Like I just all of a sudden I saw this situation. And
you like just things happen, and like you come out on the other side. And you're
usually
like,
I'm not the one to jump in and help, but just felt the urge to do it.
Or some people who are like who would love to like who really think they would go and help and everything, and they're in a situation they're like they freeze up, they cower, and I mean that's just the human reaction. That's a pretty common reaction.
Now, I guess the thing, going back to the cars real quick, but the issue with that also is I think maybe some people forget about, but in situations where there's a car accident, there's always somebody to blame. You know, car went bad. That's somebody's fault that they didn't change.
People want to be able to just keep somebody to blame. Like
that's true, but also like in law and stuff, you almost need something to blame. That's just how our court system goes.
you can't get an insurance claim from a road.
Exactly. So what happens when there's cars that like the Uber stuff, and that's like our mainstream car? What happens if it crashes into somebody? Who's to blame? Is it Uber, the manufacturer? Is it the guy who's driving the car? Is it maybe the person crossing the road? You know, like. That's the thing you always got to think of. Like, you can't sue a car. I mean, it's a piece of metal.
Risk you take. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there won't almost be a point where like getting struck by an autonomous car would be on the same degree of like what are classified as acts of God. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like, you know what
I mean?
Like
if a tree fell on you and like you killed you.
Like it's just
okay. You can't sue anybody.
You can't sue the tree. You can't sue the wind.
I'm gonna sue God.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Good luck with that.
No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. You get struck by lightning when I walk outside now.
But that's like kind of almost where it needs to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because like that would open the gates for people to just go hard into like perfecting it. You know what I mean?
Because there's so many things that stop you at this point because there's so much safety concern and all these dilemmas. It's a tough one.
We're gonna start having car religions now. We're gonna start worshiping the cars because they're God. I
feel like Elon Musk's followers are already basically.
Some of them are kind of. Hey, I've been seeing a Tesla drive around recently. It's pretty awesome. I'm like, you know.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I'm
the light man's coming by.
I'm getting a Tesla as soon as I can afford it.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
They're.
I always mix it up. The S is the sports car, right? And the X is the
S is a new one.
I always get that mixed up. I even look it up online. I'm like, oh, that's what it is, and then I always forget it. I know the 3 is obviously the new one.
The nice one, like the like $35,000 one.
The gold wing doors. You know, the SUV. Is that the X or the S?
I think that's.
Sure.
I don't even think that's out yet. Yeah.
No, it is.
No, it is. All 3 of them are out. All 3 of them are out now.
The Roadster's not out yet, right?
Roadster's not out.
The Roadster is the tiny little sports car, the one that went to space.
It's gonna be like the fastest acceleration in any car.
The Roadster was actually the first
0 to 60
first car
in less than
2.3 seconds or something.
Yeah, what are all the car nuts gonna do when they're like all of their like precious, you know, internal combustion engines are like garbage next to these electric engines that will like blow them out of the water.
Yeah, electric engines or the motors technically are so much better for that kind of stuff because they apply an even amount of power all the way through.
Instantly, too.
Yeah,
But-
and it's instant. So, like, your acceleration right off the bat, it's even apparent in, like, Priuses and stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah, for
Hybrids. It's you press on the gas and it's instant response, and it's instantly you can get full acceleration right away. Whereas with an internal combustion engine, it's got a certain RPM where it's
Gearing
working the best, and then it gets to a certain point where it's no longer efficient. Which is why you have gearing in internal combustion engines. Why in a manual car you have to shift. Because you need that gear ratio, or you could only go 25 miles an hour max, and that'd be redlining the engine. With electric cars, they usually, quite often, they don't have any gearing at all. It's just straight shot all the way. It's just a matter of how much.
They can only go as fast as the engine can. The
which
motor
is
can spin.
Pretty fast.
Those electric motors are pretty fast. Yeah.
And there's a lot of new like racing. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's like Formula 1 or something.
That's cool.
And they're electric Formula 1 cars basically, and they're insane. And I think, from what I remember, I think they have like 2 gears, so they can shift once.
That makes sense.
And they go the speed of these Formula 1 cars.
Yeah.
And it's like they go insanely fast, and they only have 2 gears.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Now, the one issue I heard with the Roadster, like people were kind of getting mad at this because when they released the Roadster, they didn't really talk about it. They just kind of say, "Hey, here's a Roadster," and then they kind of shut the lights, whatever. But so the issue with electric cars and racing and stuff is cooling.
Yeah.
So if you heat, like they say on the track, the Roadster can get what? So it's 2.3 seconds or something like that to
60,
2.3
seconds.
and it can run on the track for X amount of time, whatever.
Yeah.
After that, what if your car breaks? You know, because that's what could happen if the motor heats up that much. You know, and that much friction on the wheels and stuff, they heat up a lot, and that's one of the issues that I heard is the lifespan of the car or the motor lifespan. Is maybe you can only go on the track once a day, and you have to take it off because it has to cool down. Where gas-powered motors have coolant and stuff that keep them cool.
Yeah, well,
they'll probably figure that out.
They have to have some sort of software that limits the car to doing
There will
that.
be, yeah.
No,
there will
just
be,
how hard would that be to just run a radiator and a coolant loop through that sort of thing? I feel like you could do it better.
That would be using a lot of electricity, and then you'd maybe need a gas-powered motor.
Adding more weight to the car,
adding more weight, and already is a
So they don't
heavy
have any
freaking
of that
car.
stuff in there right now.
No, it's just electric. It's literally just electricity.
Do the Teslas out there that are just electric right now have radiators and coolant and everything?
No, they're literally the only thing the only maintenance
Really?
you need on the car is windshield wiper fluid.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, really. Like you open the hood up, it's a storage windshield wiper fluid. No, really.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
but that's another thing. They're really heavy.
Yeah.
So they heat up a lot. They're heavy, and maintenance is expensive too because they're
they've got those giant lithium-ion batteries is what they're using nowadays.
Well,
And if you,
are they giant batteries or is it like?
They're
well, it's a
little-
bunch
little-
of
The
not quite as
1860s.
giant.
they're in chains.
No,
Is
yeah,
it just- isn't that what it is?
they're.
I don't
It's
think so.
no, it is a.
Is
It's
it?
a.
Literally
It's
like
a.
little-
1,000
It's a
1860s.
very
That's
large
incredible.
amount of
Double A
small
batteries, right?
lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah.
They
all wire 'em up.
forming one large one. Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Now,
I didn't know
another
that.
thing, and this is what's funny, I've been realizing, because I feel like the whole electric car debate is becoming like, oh, electric cars are going to save the environment. And that's true in some cases. However, people forget, to make electricity, you also need to burn coal, right? And that's not really the coal plants, it's the issue. What I'm saying, that's the most efficient way of
Right
doing it.
now.
Right
that's
now,
what's
right?
happening.
And
Most of the
not
time,
only
most
that,
cases.
if everybody had an electric car, more coal would be burnt, and that would be actually worse for the environment. But also that, designing and building the batteries is really bad for the
That's
environment
true.
because
Yep.
the lithium ion is horrendously horrible for the environment, and you can't really
There's no disposal.
there's no disposal of it. So
Yeah.
you really just got to lock it up in a barrel and hope it doesn't leak out.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's the issue that's coming up. I
that's-
think soon.
Yeah, that's a lot of the issues, along with finding ways to better treat our environment. Is we sort of go with the instant gratification. Oh, we can do this better now,
Right.
but it's just postponing the issues.
Postponing the issues.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it's
the
making
future.
different issues for the future.
That's
Instead-
exactly what happened with nuclear energy.
Yeah, true.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We thought it was
They
good
kinda
at
jumped the
first,
gun on that, yeah.
but there's nowhere to dispose of the uranium rods.
Well, like from my understanding with that is that's not so much of a problem, like
Mhm.
because you bury it under a mountain, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And
you're
that
right, you're
works. Like no one's ever gonna touch it. I don't have such a problem with like nuclear energy because like
Yeah, I think nuclear
It is
energy
clean,
is
It's
actually
technically,
the
yeah.
way to go. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna produce this waste, but also as the technology gets better, you can reclaim more of the waste.
Yep.
So like, yeah, we have stuff that we can't use right now, but once we're able to refine that even better, then we're basically just building our own uranium mine for later.
Super refined.
Yeah.
uranium,
And I just
There's a reason we're turning away from nuclear energy, obviously.
yeah, you gotta go
Because
with
one
the-
hasn't been built in the U.S. in, 50 years or
That's
something?
true.
Mhm.
You gotta go for the nuclear.
Honestly, coal right now is really
fusion.
still the.
Coal is a big one.
It really is.
So the fusion power plant's coming on, baby.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that will be soon. That will be soon, like a
I can't.
hydrogen reactor. Or something.
No.
They're working on. Linus Tech Tips did a video on
They?
fusion reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see why
It's about
we
time.
don't just get like a big extension cord and bring it to the sun, plug it in over there.
There you
Just bring
go.
all that-
I always wondered that.
Bring
Too.
all that
Rapid
electricity
solar
back.
panel.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Solar, yeah.
Wrap the sun in solar.
Wrap the sun, yeah. Solar and wind energy is really kind of sucks, honestly. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
it's
awesome.
so inefficient.
It's awesome, but
Oh.
also even to make solar panels is bad for the environment.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
true.
that. Like the manufacturing process that goes into solar panels, like the pressure treated or something, is bad. And also mining the ore for that is like
Yeah.
they're really rare earth metals.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot of
yeah.
problems.
as part of my final for my environmental class in college, I wrote it was a 15-page paper on the viability of photovoltaic solar panels in the U.S.
There you go.
And photovoltaic solar panels are your standard solar panels, the one you'd find on any house. And basically, the conclusion I had come to is we're just not there yet.
We aren't. Yeah.
A conventional use of solar panels just isn't worth it. You see it in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, all the New England states. Solar panels do well up here, and that's just because our states have a lot of incentives for it. You have tax breaks and things like that make it worth the huge amount
Money,
of
yeah.
down payment that you would put into that. But obviously, if you go out, south, even Midwest, you're not going to find any of that. And there's just that's why you don't see any of that down there, because it's just it's not worth it. And yeah, I just don't think we're there yet. It's the solar panels themselves aren't efficient enough, and wind power. It's a different story. Wind power is being used more and more.
Yeah.
But a lot of problems with that is it's a
Well,
big
what you
one
want
for
to
them.
get is the like kind of like one, but the
Oh, we got a
What are
food
they called?
delivery here. What is this?
It's
the
a
title, the title
Are you throwing that out?
things.
Oh,
No, I'm putting it in the fridge. You want some?
I'll get some later.
You sure?
Yeah, we'll get some later. We'll get some later.
tidal energy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
because that's more
Yep.
reliable than wind or
it
solar.
is, and it's pretty much infinite.
What's
Yeah.
problem
As
with
we
that
know
is
right now.
You
it's
just send in the moon.
Tidal energy.
Send it
Over
away,
there.
yeah.
tidal energy is very inefficient as well.
Yeah.
Well, we have
That's one of the problems.
It's-
All of our
it's
stuff is
It's a
super
weak
inefficient.
energy.
Slow.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. Fair enough.
you can't turn a piston with that, really.
Yeah.
Because really,
I
all
mean, you could get one revolution per day.
that's the thing. All plants really.
Well, no,
boils-
you're just
it
putting
boils-
like a wind turbine in the water.
You have
Essentially.
to funnel it around the turbine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in order
But
to get any sort
That's
of.
that's how we
movement
make
that-
energy. It all boils down to pushing a piston
Condensing it.
or spinning a turbine, and that's what.
Well, no, yeah, heating water in there.
Because wind is the same thing. You spin a turbine. Electricity, it spins a turbine.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess electricity is direct. Direct to the batteries.
Thinking way too hard.
Yeah, we are.
Plug it in.
There you go. Now, the one thing I will say is, I guess this is kind of crazy to think. You look back, what, 500 years, I'm going to say, maybe, plumbing probably wasn't built into houses, right? That was probably
No,
like some of the
absolutely
rich,
not.
right? So,
300 years.
exactly. As we developed, plumbing started to become
200
the state of built into houses. Nowadays we have, instead of regular wood, it's pressure treated wood and like fiberglass and stuff in the houses, right? What if we get to a point where unfortunately you're gonna have to have the government do something, because not everybody's gonna do it, right? Make up incentives or laws or something that say houses built after X, Y, and Z have to have solar panels and batteries on them.
Yeah.
And then that would help. That would help
Dude,
the
you know what's
environment.
better than batteries too? Because like going with batteries that suck. You put flywheels in houses.
What do you mean?
I heard they used to do that.
Wait, what do you mean a flywheel? I don't know.
You just store it kinetically.
Oh, it keeps spinning.
So this heavy mass, right?
Yeah.
That you put on like a super high quality bearing in a vacuum chamber, and during the day, your solar panels spinning up this flywheel.
It would still stop spinning though.
Well, yeah, I know.
Well, so
during the day,
you'll lose a little bit of energy.
Yeah.
But
like
it doesn't.
So you do with batteries, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't like.
It's like a
deteriorate
spring
like a
almost.
battery.
Like
Yeah.
it.
Like
yeah.
Cool.
like a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
You just keep it outside like you would keep a
There
like
you
a
go.
AC unit about that size.
Perpetual
you know what
energy.
Yeah, and it just has
Yeah.
it acts just like a battery, you know.
But
It
kinetically,
stores
that's
the
cool,
energy
instead
slowly
of-
throughout the day,
chemically. Yeah.
and then all night you can draw off of it. It's,
I never thought of that. Like,
yeah,
because if you think about it, batteries. We think of batteries. Oh, you plug it in, it charges, right? But
Yeah.
it's a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
What if we move to like kinetic reactions?
Yeah,
which
exactly.
that's it is. It's a kinetic battery.
if you can do stuff
Yeah.
more physical, that tends to help get away, especially from the environmental stuff.
Problems with that is noise and heat.
That
Yeah, it's
exactly.
in a
Yeah.
vacuum chamber.
It's still gonna
You have to
have
have
some
vacuum-
sort
You
of
have to have it
product.
pressurized though.
Sure.
You have to have it continuously pressurized.
Yeah,
You would have to have a
What do you mean?
You're
vacuum.
getting the energy for that.
No, vacuum it out. You're good to go.
No, it doesn't.
As long as
it
it's
won't.
sealed.
It won't stay.
No, you.
I don't
you
think
just,
so.
You just
yeah.
I think it'll breach still.
no. You just machine it.
Well,
Well
if the
enough.
seal's good enough, you can.
What about on like a space station? Is it? There's a constant pressure. There's something always keeping the pressure, like on an airplane, right?
How?
Same thing.
In a space station?
How would they
That's
get
the
something
opposite.
to keep pressure in there?
The vacuum's on the outside in that case.
Well, but you need something to keep the pressure constant, right?
There's
That's
how,
Where would it be getting pressure
Yeah.
from, Joe?
I don't know. That's I don't know. I'm not
to,
But
get
I've always,
pre-
like-
to increase the pressure inside the
I don't
space
think-
station,
I don't
you would
think
need
it
to be
would
pumping
stay.
air into it. No, they just seal them up real good.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
just designed really.
Okay,
really
what
well.
about what do you call them? Vacuum chambers? Not like the ones we're talking about, where you walk into an airlock.
Airlock, yeah.
Yeah, that.
You walk in, it takes the air out,
Okay.
and then the other door
So
opens.
wouldn't that be like just a big airlock in a whole space station or something? I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. You're just a
It just
perfect
has to be-
vacuum. A perfect vacuum.
It has to be done really well, and just like anything, you'll get some wear and tear, you know.
Right,
and
right,
eventually, it'll probably
Oh, there's
spring
just-
a leak.
There's a leak.
And you could always.
Space blown up.
And you can always either repair it or
Mm-hmm.
you can have. I'm sure it wouldn't be perfect, obviously. So you could have some sort of machine that'll suck the air out on
Yeah.
occasion if it senses that it's getting some air in there.
Mhm.
But even with that, it doesn't have to be a perfect vacuum.
No.
It's
It's actually
really
a lot
good,
less friction than you would think it'd be. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
like,
it's
for-
air
for
the
the
vacuum.
resistance,
The
like-
vacuum chamber is just for air resistance. Then
yeah. That's all it is. But
makes it more
it's
efficient.
not that much air resistance.
There
And you
isn't
can even-
anyways, right?
And you wouldn't even need that much space vacuumed because you just your big heavy drum that spins. You just make the enclosure micrometer wider. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you get
so
those
you're really
really
only
tiny
sucking maybe
clearances.
a few cubic inches of air
Yeah.
out.
Well, I've seen videos of the guy sucks stuff out of a vacuum chamber and he has something spinning. It stops spinning because there's friction and.
Yeah.
So I feel
Yeah,
like
no,
you
the-
lose
the-
more energy than you think.
You
though.
lose more energy to the bearing than
Oh
than
yeah,
even to air.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because that's friction. You can't really get away from friction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that's why we
And
don't
then
have
that
perpetual
friction
motion.
creates
Yeah.
noise. I don't know how the
It
whole
would seal
thing.
the noise. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. I haven't done the math, so I don't know how big of a object you're going to need to
Right,
store
to
a certain
store it.
amount of energy to run a house throughout the night,
Mhm.
or like an air conditioning.
Well, I'm
unit
not
or-
saying like run it straight off, like get you off the grid, just to like supplement it.
But I mean,
Even
we're
if-
trying to get to that point eventually.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're
Eventually-
putting a solar panel on your house right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's only working during the day, and it's producing more than you're using during the day because you're not in the house,
That's why you have batteries. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So anything's better than nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
As
the
it
whole day
stands-
you're bleeding into the kinetic battery.
Yeah, so as it stands, we just have batteries for that kind of stuff. So it all gets stored in a battery, and then you can.
But a lot of houses wouldn't
Eat
even
off
put a
the
battery.
battery.
You know what I mean? You have solar panels on. There's no storage.
A lot of houses
It
just
goes back
yeah,
into
yeah.
the grid.
That's what I was
going
going
to
to ask. Where does it goes back into the grid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
Like
they
coal-
get paid.
They pay you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But if we could move to that kind of stuff, and that's one thing. Going back to Elon Musk and Tesla, they started working on. They do a lot for solar power and batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Batteries could be the future, like the new, like iPhone.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, if you could perfect a battery and make it super efficient, you would become a billionaire. Because you could store all the energy so a lot more efficiently, and it would solve a lot of our problems.
Yes, that's the issue with lithium-ion batteries now. The little cells. Every time you charge and discharge it, the cells bleed. They break. That's Liquid batteries, I think, are better than for that, but you can't have I think liquid is more unsafe than like a solid state.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many times you get some sort of controller or remote or whatever, and the batteries are busted.
Yeah,
Making a mess. So I think we got to wrap it up. It is. It's been going on for an hour and 20.
That's good though. We got a good start.
Yeah. So
covered a podcast different things.
We haven't even said the name of the podcast.
Oh yeah, dude. Let's sign it off with that.
This is a podcast on the porch.
I like that. That's good.
One time again with everyone's names going around.
Yeah. Ryan Sear,
Jonathan Plord,
Craig Sear,
John Murphy Shaw,
Joe Shiggis.
There you go.
Thanks
for watching, guys. Smash that like button. We're gonna reach that like goal, and we're gonna get a face reveal at the end of this.
What's the like goal? Come on.
What was that noise?
10.
That wasn't me.